Hey, and warm welcome. This is the Swimpros News 29. Today, I was hoping that we could kick it off with some updates from the Mallorca summer taper camp. I heard they exponentially almost have gotten better over the first couple of workouts, so I'm curious how that goes. But Yul is not here, so hopefully he'll join us a bit later. Then what I want to do, is give you a couple of updates inside the school group that I quite like, where I put a lot of thought behind it at the moment. And I would like for you guys to at least see what we have. And it's totally up to you if you're actually going to consume the video or like go through the guide. But I want you to know that it's available because I put a lot of energy into it. So I want to do that, and then I'd like to speak a little bit about the emotion of disappointment. Okay, basically it's about how to deal with disappointing situations, because, and I think this is something that is not talked about enough, is that in competitive swimming, one thing that is guaranteed to happen multiple times is that they're going to be feeling defeated and disappointed and sad and frustrated. And so it's not about not having or not encountering these situations. It's about meeting them and knowing how to face those difficult emotions, right? That is what the journey is really about. And that is what builds a solid, successful character. So disappointments are part of the game. They happen to everybody, so how we look at it matters a lot. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But first, let me share my screen real quick. So I'm just in a school community. You see there's 1,500 swim families in there. It's free to join. We found out that there seems to be quite some interest in changing clubs, and it's always a difficult process. So what we're going to do a live chat, because you see there were 50 votes almost, and 5 of them are 100% going to change, and 16 are considering it. So we're going to do training to help our swimmers deal with changing clubs, which Yul and I have done many, many times, different countries and so on. And we've obviously been part of other people's journeys. So we have a lot of experience with it, and there's like a couple of important things that we want to do before we decide where we're going to go, right? Okay, cool. The Americans have that really down, because what the Americans do, they call it recruiting trips. And so what they do is they just fly the high school athletes into the university, and then they can be there. At least that's how it used to be when I was there, for like 2, maybe 3 days. Not longer, and you're not allowed to train with the team, but you get to meet everybody, and you sleep at swimmers' houses, and you get to meet the coaches and stuff. So you get to see the university, and you get a real experience of what it would be like to actually go there. And, we can do something similar, right? All right. Just to avoid that, we have to go back in like 6 months' time and it's like, shit, I lost 6 months because that did clearly not work out. Cool. So the next thing is we did a academy training made available to everyone, is because they're on camp in Mallorca right now for the summer taper camp. What they'll do there is they prepare for a big summer competition, right? And they do the Swimpros taper, which a lot of these athletes, they're learning a lot during those 10 days, right? How to get the maximum out of your body and your mind in the most important moment. So they're there, and so we did a live training just around how can you make the most out of a swim camp, or like a swim, a clinic or something, like some kind of event. So it's not just for this camp, it's for any camp really, because it starts with things like just being able to answer the question, hey, what's the most important thing that I think I should learn right now in terms of swimming, right? Or knowing other things like what's the biggest thing holding me back, right? So it's a really good training, so you can watch that also. And then, oh, this one I'm super proud of, the No-Nag Method. So that is going to be a challenge to reduce screen time. And we're going to do it without the fights, without the nagging. And I'm happy to take you guys, mostly your kids, right, through that process, because I do feel like I'm in a much better position to be successful with it because I'll do it with them and also I'm not their dad. Make sense? So, but then I want you guys to be involved, the parents, because if we align around a common purpose, which is to just, the kid, the swimmer, to be radiant from the inside and not like a zombie as soon as they take their phones, that they're communicative within the family, that less socially anxious and feeling like connected and that they belong and stuff. So we want you involved because if we're aligned around that, then our chances are going to be exponentially higher to succeed. And also like really change, not just as a challenge, but actually become a person who does not need screen time to be distracted and stuff, right? So I'm very excited about it. And because again, guys, I see kids who are so happy and so present and so smiling. And then the moment they take their phones, they're like different people. And I don't like that, right? I really don't. Anyway, so that's the No-Nag Method. It starts, if you go to the calendar, on Sunday. This is Zurich time. It will adjust automatically to your time zone, but we do the academy training from 7 to 8, and then we do the No-Nag kickoff from 8 to 8:30. Okay, that is Switzerland times, and it will be recorded. Coolio. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you guys is this, because I have a feeling that could come in handy for some. Oh, I'm sharing the same thing. I wanted to share this one here. Sharing this tab too. Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, this one. When your swimmer loses the love for swimming, and that is a guide. So I did a little training on it. It's 23 minutes, but also so this is a real one-on-one situation, like a client, one-on-one client. And I made a parent guide out of that for you to kind of read through and go through some pretty cool steps. Because, I mean, if you're anything like me, you're probably always like in the back of the head, you're thinking, yeah, but what happens when she does lose motivation? Or you know what I mean? And so this is a good one to kind of read through. And ask me questions if you have any, or if you have any, like the other thing I just encourage you to do is start contributing in the school group, because I feel like I'm contributing a lot, and the parents, I know you guys are consuming it in the background and stuff, but it's really, and some of you are not, this is also okay. But when you see this, like come make an effort on school and start contributing some, and I don't mean just like thumbs up or like great job, but actually share some thoughts and experiences, how you made your swimmers or your family life a little bit better. Because when everybody starts doing that, we're all learning together, and that makes it very, very powerful. That so we don't have to, we can just take some tips and tricks, I guess, from like other people. And so if you see this, I encourage you to start doing that. Okay. Now, last thing, the disappointment. I wanted to talk about disappointment. So on camp, one of the core pillars is the mental side of swimming, because most clubs do a pretty good job at doing the kilometers, okay? And then some do a good job with like pacing and speed, but some also don't. And also underwaters. All right, so another pillar is that competition-specific training and the underwater work. That is one of the pillars. So, and then there's one that's technique, because it's so freaking important, and we got the Flume channel. And then the other pillar is the mental. And when we ask participants, hey, what was like the most useful thing? A lot of times we hear that it's actually what happened between their ears, because in a way. And sometimes they cannot really explain why and how, and that's okay. But in a way, they became so elevated during the training camp, mentally and emotionally, and the body just followed. And they were able to do things that they've never done before, even when they're supposed to be physically tired. Right? And then they take that momentum back home to their club and stuff. And of course, the environment is going to be a bit different. But why am I saying all this? Because in those mental sessions that we do every day, and this summer we're super lucky to have world record holders Peter Mankoč and Milorad Čavić, and clearly I'm not going to be running all these confidence building sessions because we have this opportunity to learn from world record holders who happen to be amazing coaches and dads. So, right, so they're going to be doing a lot of these, but the one thing that is not talked about enough is that competitive swimming is a difficult sport. Like, it's difficult physically, but also you see, like, a lot of times you're actually not going to get the goal that you wanted for yourself. And so if that is the only measurement of success, whether we like reach a certain time or make a certain medal or qualify for a certain meet, then most of the time we're actually going to be disappointed, you know? So it ends up being like, even if we do qualify, it ends up being out of 365 days, we're going to be basically happy for maybe 3 or 4, and then the rest were kind of like frustrated. You know what I mean? So we need to have a different measurement of what successful looks like that we can apply in training, okay? Because when we have these small wins, and we're like, oh my God, I said I'm going to do 4 underwaters instead of 3, what I would typically do, and I succeeded. Oh my God, great, right? That gives them momentum because they have like these little challenges that they set for themselves in terms of process goals, right? That's just a big goal broken down into what can you do today. And then they automatically, just by knowing what it is, they're going to like do these things in training and they're going to get 1% better. I hope that makes sense. I'm still trying to, you know, it's a long story, but when you have these process goals, you're going to be like super excited about your journey, right? That means you're going to be happier. You're going to have more energy. It's a great feeling. And we're going to be happy most days. Right? We're going to be happy most days because we got things that are actually growing and improving because we look at the increments. And if we have given it everything that we have, then no matter what happens, it's going to be good, right? When we go to the competition, either we get the time that we want, great, life goes on and we're going to go back to training and cool. And then if we don't get what we want, then it's going to suck a little bit, but we're going to learn from that. And then life goes on, we go back to training and it's all good. And so in a way, when we don't get what we want, it's actually the more powerful of the two outcomes because you have this, you know, we can learn the lesson and then we can change the way we approach things in the future. And that's a very empowering moment. But so what I'm saying is, you know, whatever happens in a competition, it is what it is. And one feels great and the other one kind of sucks, but not only for a short amount of time. And then we need to digest what we've learned and what we need to change. We have to be we have to like think it through, be a bit creative, right? And like look at, okay, what we know has worked in the past? What are we not so sure about? And then we start changing a couple things. And so disappointments, they are going to happen. They are part of the game. And so it's just about learning, what do you do when it happens? And I think a lot of the times when it does happen, people go down a hole because they don't know what to do in that moment because they feel lost. But if you get there, and no matter how bad it is, you have a game plan that's already pre-decided, that you already know, okay, if it happens, it's like, okay, now I'm here. They understand, they have like a map, right? And it helps to be like, okay, I'll do this, and I do this, and I do this, and soon they'll get their momentum back. So that's what this is about. And, you know, parents sometimes... I've had a couple conversations last week where, for example, they would want to, in a way, kind of, an 11-year-old girl, that it's like too early for her to start training more. It's too early for her to go compete internationally. It is too early for her, or she was 12, I think, too early for her to do mental training and all that. And I was like, why? And then she said, because they want to make sure that she has time to develop, and that's all good, right? I all agree with that. But I heard in the undertone there's something about protecting her from getting disappointed. Because, for example, if you swim at just the regional level, and then you may know everybody and stuff, and then you go to the national level, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm not the big fish in here, right? And then then you get to the top of national and you go international, you're like, oh, I'm not the top dog anymore. And there's always, in a way, unless you're like Leo Marchand or Summer McIntosh, there's always like a level up. And so, and again, the disappointment is going to happen. It's 100% sure. So there's not really a point in like protecting them and postponing that experience, because the sooner they have it with the right guidance, the sooner they'll be mentally much stronger, right? Which will show in other areas of their lives, because they're like more courageous and they learn all these good traits. Okay, that's just my thinking. So I recommend the guide in the school group. Hold on, I'll show you the link here. It's school.com and then /MindGymPro. Right? It's free to join. There's a premium tier that's $9 a month. And then we have the academy, but this is, for the time being, we're not taking any new students. So for camp, I had one more thing. I should have maybe said it in the beginning, but for camp, we had 4 last-minute cancellations for the elite camps in the summer. So one is from August 4 to 14, and one is from August 17 to 27. In both camps, we'll have Milorad Čavić, one of the world record holders, okay, from Serbia, coaching all 10 days, so like in both camps. And then in the second camp from August 17 to 27, we have also Peter Mankoč from Slovenia, also freaking legend. And that's obviously on top of the usual coaching staff. So we have 2 spots for the first summer camp and 2 spots for the second summer camp. If you're interested in that, just get in touch with me or Yul anyway, like email, SMS on school, and we'll send you the details. Okay, might have to quickly speak on phone or whatever just to go over the details. But if you're interested, or if you know anybody who's like super cool and would like to come, we can take 2 in the first camp and 2 in the second. And if they're cool swimmers and we're feeling the vibe, let's go. Yeah, we'll be back next week, hopefully to hear from Yul at the Mallorca camp. So guys, take care.